Good Saturday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have a little bit to get to here in today's weather forecast, including dangerously cold wind chills this weekend and especially into next week, and a southern snowstorm that will move across the deep south and into the northeast. How much snow can you expect? We'll dive into those details in today's weather forecast. As always, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel down below for detailed weather breakdowns across North America and help me get to 75,000 subscribers by the end of this month. And you can help me get there simply by subscribing down below and pressing the like button. It helps out more than you know. Here is our current weather conditions across the United States and southern Canada as of this morning, and we still have a formidable low-level wind field up here producing some very strong blizzard-like conditions here this morning across portions of the Great Lakes, and a formidable low-pressure system at that, as a 977 millibars across southeastern Canada. We have heavy snow still across portions there of southeastern Canada, some heavier snow sneaking down into Maine as of this morning. Dry behind it across the middle of the country, and then our new storm system that will bring energy in across the Four Corners region and filter into our southern snowstorm potential early next week. That is beginning to move into the west coast with some heavier snows for the Sierras and some heavier rains for the northern Sacramento Valley this morning. So going through today, what are we seeing? Well, we have the snowstorm moving out into southeastern Canada, so our folks up here into southeastern Canada will be seeing some heavier snowfall and those blizzard-like conditions at times across portions of those areas. Also some snow up here into portions of Maine, so Caribou, down into the Bangor region, and even portions there of the Portland area. Mix of rain and snow as we go through today. Drying out across the middle of the country. A couple flurries potentially across southern Iowa and northern Missouri. Certainly not what we have seen going back just 24 hours ago, but just a couple flurries. And then further off to the west, heavier snow breaking out across Oregon, especially there across the Sierras, northern Nevada, getting into southwestern Idaho and northern portions of Utah. And going through tonight, we have the lake-induced snows continuing across portions of Lake Michigan here, Lake Superior and vicinity, Lake Erie even seeing some heavier snows there. So be watching out for the lake effect snow tonight. And then that system again out west producing those mountain snows across the Rockies going through the nighttime hours. Here's your snowfall accumulation over the next 24 hours, taking you through your Sunday morning time frame, and you can see a couple more inches to several more inches of snow up across those areas near the lake, near Lake Superior, the UP of Michigan, potentially seeing several more inches there of snow, and several more inches there into western portions of Michigan, near Lake Michigan there, and then we have some heavier snow there into portions of Buffalo, New York, potentially, as we see that lake-induced snow near Lake Erie. And then off to the west, we mentioned that new piece of energy coming in. You can see across portions of Oregon, down through California, into the Sierras and those higher elevations, getting into southwestern Idaho, northern Nevada, getting into Utah, in and around the Salt Lake City area, and then eventually into western Colorado. We could be talking about several inches of snow and feet of snow in the highest of elevations out there. So when putting it all together, travel will be impacted in some shape or form, at least minor to moderate travel disruptions across the Great Lakes region with those lake-induced snows. And then back across the west, we could have some major travel disruptions here where we have those higher elevation snows pumping out those 1 to 2 inch per hour snow rates at times across the west. So we're seeing that. Now looking at the cold air, the long overdue cold air for the winter season is finally here. We have seen some warm air so far this winter, especially through December and early January, but now we're getting into mid-January and we're finally starting to see winter here. You can see the origin in which this Arctic air is, and it's moving from Canada and the Arctics all the way down here into the central and eastern two-thirds of the U.S. this weekend, and it will move all the way south toward the Gulf Coast as we go into early next week and potentially even as far south as northern Mexico with those below normal temperature anomalies. So let's take a look at the wind chills. This is the real feel of the temperatures out there as you walk out the door, and you can see 30, 40 degrees below zero are your wind chills across portions of the Dakotas, getting into Nebraska there, into Minnesota and Iowa, and you can see that freezing line going all the way south toward the Red River here today with those wind chill values. Waking up Sunday morning, if you have any church services out there, make sure you do bundle up in all layers here, because it is going to be downright cold for your Sunday morning, especially across the upper Midwest, the northern high plains, and the Ohio Valley. But let's be honest, even 7 degrees down here in North Texas is abnormal. So make sure to bundle up even further south into Texas, northern Louisiana, and the deep south as well for Sunday morning. Going into Sunday afternoon, those wind chills aren't getting much better. We're still seeing those 20, 25, even 30 below zero wind chills still hanging around across southern Canada and the north central states here. By the afternoon, it's only 12 above with the wind chill in Dallas, -5 in Oklahoma City, and -13 Sunday afternoon there in Kansas City. And then waking up Monday morning, Martin Luther King Day there, definitely seeing a lot of cold air hanging around again. We could have -50 below zero wind chills up there into Alberta and Saskatchewan, -30, -40s there with our wind chills across the north, and again single digits on either side of zero across the south. So it will be very cold into early next week. And with that cold air coming in, we have the leading edge of that producing some snow across portions of the deep south. We've been waiting and watching for snow all season long, and here's our first shot at it here across eastern Oklahoma, much of Arkansas, including the Little Rock area, Fort Smith over to Jonesboro, and then getting over into western portions of Tennessee, including the Memphis region, Jackson, Tennessee, and then getting down into northern portions of Mississippi, northeastern Louisiana. We have winter storm watches that are in place as we go into early next week in anticipation of at least a few inches of snow. So here's our energy there out to the west across the Rockies on your Sunday. This is January 14th, bringing those heavier mountain snows out here, and especially western Colorado into Utah and back into Nevada here. Maybe a leading edge of some flurries and snow showers into southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma on your Sunday. And then with the leading edge of that cold air moving south, we can see more of a rain-snow mix, or probably just some freezing rain and sleet potentially setting up across north and east Texas, and then across portions of southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana. That could lead to a 1/10 or 2/10 of an inch of ice across these areas. Further to the north, across portions of the Little Rock area, getting in toward Paducah, getting into Jackson, Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, and even the Nashville region in Middle Tennessee could start to see some snow showers on your Sunday night. And then moving into Martin Luther King Day on Monday, that snowfall will be overspreading Kentucky into Middle Tennessee there, including the Crossville region, back into Nashville there, Jackson, Tennessee, up into Lexington, Kentucky, and perhaps into the Charleston, West Virginia area with some snow on your Martin Luther King Day as well. Looking at our snowfall accumulation potential here from Sunday the 14th through Tuesday the 16th, you can see a narrow band from around the Tulsa, Oklahoma City area through Little Rock, Jonesboro, and the Fort Smith areas, getting through Memphis, Jackson, Tennessee, the Nashville region, maybe even as far east as Crossville, getting into Lexington, Kentucky, and then on up into West Virginia there, into Charleston, West Virginia. We could be seeing a narrow swath of about 3 to 6 inches of snow, and possibly even some localized areas, especially centered on Arkansas and Tennessee, that could actually see in excess of 6 inches in a spot or two of snowfall accumulation into early next week. Then that energy pushes up into the northeast. We start to see more snow up here across mainly interior northeast and New England, from Maine through Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, and getting into central and western PA here. Several inches of accumulating snow will be possible, but unfortunately, our folks in New York City, down into the Trenton region, Michigan, Philadelphia, and then up maybe toward Boston, probably won't see much in the way of snow. Again, the water temperatures in the western Atlantic are still very much above normal for this time of year, so that will be tough to get the cold air to move that far east, even though we have Arctic air in the country. So we're going to see more of that rain line still sticking around that I-95 corridor on south. So here is the European forecast model, the high resolution guidance here, showing potential snowfall accumulations across Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, and into northern PA here. We could be talking at least 4 to 6 inches is a good bet here from Tuesday into Wednesday. The GFS model really not that much different, except the only thing that's different with this, it brings in a little bit more warm air, so it pushes that snow line just a little bit further north into the upstate New York region, into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, and it actually pulls away from the snowfall solution across northern Pennsylvania and turns you guys here more over to rain. So a little uncertainty with the track, and again, this time of year, even in the Northeast, the storm track is key to who sees snow and how much snow we could see. We'll keep you updated on that. Beyond that, though, late next week into the following weekend, it's still going to remain below normal and much below normal across the east and southeastern United States with our temperatures. We got another pulse of energy with the polar vortex moving south later next week and into next weekend. That could be pulling down more negative numbers with our high temperatures and low temperatures out there again into the upper Midwest and the Ohio Valley. But to the west, across the West Coast, above normal temperatures are favored as a ridge begins to build across the eastern Pacific and bleeds eastward into the western U.S. there, especially into the Sacramento Valley as we go into that following weekend. And with that cold air, it's going to be drier cold air for the most part. So just kind of some dry skies, mostly sunny, partly cloudy skies out there. It's just plain out cold across the east. And then across the west, we're going to start to see more of some active weather, and that could build in toward Texas as we go into the following weekend. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel down below, especially if you're new and you like detailed weather breakdowns across North America. Be sure to also press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their weekend out there.